We are live on Facebook. Yay! Hello, Soulfire. How are you all doing out there tonight? I'm going to check us out and make sure we're live, but Molly and I are super excited to be here tonight. We are definitely live. And we're here tonight with Jeff Carter for the interpretation of dreams. So we're excited about that. Hey, Molly, how are you?
I'm doing very well. I'm excited. Dreams seem to be a hot topic of conversation this week. I've had a couple of people come to me asking questions about, things that have been happening in their dreams and how to interpret them, what to make of them. So this seems right on time.
Yeah, and I was just saying, just before we went on live, that I had someone today ask me about a dream. So before we get into dreams, though, I want to introduce Jeff Carter. I love working with Jeff Carter. I've had Jeff and I have sat together for a few sessions, and I've had an Akashic Records reading with Jeff, and I enjoyed it so much. So, Jeff, I would love for you to just start us off by telling us a little bit about you and your work, because you have many talents and pieces of magic.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you. Well, I have my primary modality, or the work that I do is I'm a shamanic practitioner, and just to give you a bit of a background when all this started, I think I've been on this journey my whole life. Only I was only fully awakened to it about 8 years ago. So it happened on a trip to Sedona, Arizona. I guess I'm not the first person that's ever happened to in that area, and where I met a gentleman. He blew me away. And then he asked me to be his apprentice. And so I've been training with several different people. Presently, I'm with the Foundation of Shamanic Studies. And the modalities that I work with in shamanic practitioning is basically healing physically, spiritually, emotionally. That work has really been important to me. I think I've been doing it a lot through my life. I'm just pretty much aware of it right now. So the things that I work with are healing, getting rid of negative energies, balancing the body. I do psychopomp work, so deceased people that may have trouble moving over, or people that are deceasing that need to be helped to move over. I work with soul retrievals, power animal retrievals. And, through the course of my work, I'm a Reiki master, dream interpreter, and, shamanism is all about dreaming. That's what shamans do. So, I don't call myself a shaman. That's for my clients or somebody else to bestow that title on me. I'm just a shamanic practitioner until somebody says otherwise. So, that's me. That's the elevator pitch.
I love that. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I think we're going to have to make an appointment to have you come back to talk about some of the things that you just mentioned. I know I myself am curious to know more about psychopomp work and some of the other things that you talked about.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, lots of great pieces of magic, and dreams have been coming up a lot. I was talking to a client today, and I traveled to her in her dream the other night. So we were trying to work together before we could even get to our appointment. So I find it interesting how much dreams can give us. And I know, Molly, do you want to start us off with some questions for Jeff?
Sure. Yeah, I have quite a few questions. I think starting at the beginning, what can we learn about ourselves from dream interpretation?
Well, so let's talk about what dream interpretation is in the first place, right? We're dreaming all the time. We're consciously dreaming in this ordinary reality that we live in, and then we can dream in non-ordinary reality, and that's where we either intentionally go outside of our bodies into the spirit world to get information, to talk to spirits, to bring information back, or whether it's unintentional, like when we're sleeping. So the fact that we don't talk about dreams more really blows me away, because in cultures, shamanic cultures, years and dreams were the center point of the whole society. And if you think about it, in either ordinary reality or non-ordinary reality, we are always dreaming. So like Jessica right now is in the process of building a website. Well, that had to come from a dream. And she's visioning, creating this reality of this website, and she's dreaming it into being. And so, you know, I know a lot of us have heard thoughts are things, and be careful of, you know, what kind of energy you're putting out. That energy is really dream energy. That's in my practice. What I do is I move energy in, good energy in, and bad energy out to try to heal somebody. I move the energy of a soul in if it's gone. I move the energy of a power animal in. Well, I don't do it. I'm a conduit for spirit that's actually doing the work. But I know how to work with spirit to make that happen. So we're always dreaming, and we don't really talk about it that much. A lot of times we don't even remember our dreams in the non-conscious state. So that's one of the reasons why we don't dream. We don't really talk about dreams, because if it's really a lucid dream, an important dream, we may remember it. But the dreams, one fact of the matter is that dreams are fact. Spirit is giving us fact. So if we approach it just from that perspective, of whatever we're dreaming, then how do we interpret what that fact is? Because as we know, spirit talks mainly in metaphor.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'll give you an example of a metaphor. Someone came to me just recently with a dream. The dream was that they'd given their keys to their apartment to someone that they were having problems with, someone that they had a close relationship with. They dreamed, and this was in reality. Their dream is that the person was going into their apartment, going through all their stuff, looking at all their stuff, and they wanted their keys back. They wanted to get rid of it. They also dreamed that the person was in bed with them and they were pushing them away. This person also happens to be working with a spiritual teacher. The spiritual teacher was in the other room. And when they came to me with the dream, they said, well, you know, I need to get my keys back. This person's out of here, you know. And so I sat with that dream with them for a little bit. And on the surface, it says, well, get your keys back, everything's okay. But in looking at this, at the world of spirit and how they talk in metaphor, how they communicate, is that the keys really represented a key to their heart. They were scared to let them in. They didn't want to come in. In the bed, pushing them out. The person was getting too close to them. They didn't want to get their heart broken again, so they moved out. Their teacher was in the other room. That's kind of interesting that the teacher wasn't with them, because the teacher represented the lesson that you need to stop fearing. And you need to open your heart up and don't fear it getting broken again, because you're missing a great opportunity for something beautiful. So, and you always approach dream interpretation. I can't tell you exactly what your dreams are. Only I can tell you is that if it were my dream, this is how I would interpret it if it were my dream. You have to interpret your own dreams, right? I can just give you a different perspective on it.
Yeah.
And I don't know where else we were going with that conversation, but I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
And I think it's that's one of the things I think many people that are delving into working with spirit and understanding spirit is often we want to take things very literally and forget often that spirit does communicate with us most frequently, if not always, in metaphor.
Yeah, as an example, you know, spiders are very common in dreams. And a lot of people are afraid of spiders.
Mm-hmm.
But what does a spider represent? The web of the universe, the weaving of something new, creation. And if you look at it on the surface, you dream about spiders. They're freaking you out and you're just scared. But if you look at it from the vantage point of spirit and what we know the spider represents in the spiritual realm, it's so much different. It's actually a beautiful dream as opposed to a scary dream, So, but this, a lot of this knowledge and this interpretation comes if you just pay attention to your dreams. And so I would recommend anybody that is wanting to know more about dream interpretation, is to keep a journal beside your bed and write your dreams down. Keep a dream journal. And so the difficulty that I have with that sometimes is that it's 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm tired as all get out. And I don't want to turn the light on and write for 20 or 30 minutes, and try to go back to bed because I'm just wore out. So I also keep my phone handy. And a technique that I use that maybe many people and whoever's listening here could use is you say a few key things about the dream that you remember. If it wakes you up, you say one word, and a lot of one words, as many as you can remember. 30 seconds later, you're back in bed, and then you can get up in the morning and write again. Another good technique, like when you wake up in the morning, because a lot of us are dreaming quite a bit before we wake up. Right before we wake up, that's a very heavy dream state. Lay in bed. Don't get up immediately. Don't open your eyes immediately. Lay in bed, keep your eyes closed, and remember the dream. Sit with it 5 minutes, 10 minutes. It's good for your body too, to wake up slowly, but it's also extremely good for remembering your dreams because dreams fade very quickly, very quickly. And we have no idea how much we're actually dreaming at night because I'm a lucid dreamer. I'm a frequent dreamer. I dream so much at night. I can hardly remember everything that I dream about. I do try to remember the dreams that stick with me, so to speak. Yeah.
And that kind of brings me into my question, which you answered in part, and that is, I'm one of those people that I used to think that I didn't dream, and I think there was a period of my life where I really didn't dream a whole lot, and now I realize that I do dream, but as soon as my eyeballs open, it's gone. It's completely lost. So trying to figure out techniques that would help me to, ground that in and remember and come back to it.
Yeah, I just, these are $1 at Walmart. I've got these books are full of dreams. They're full of dreams. So, and I've got 7 or 8 others over there just like them. It's very helpful to keep these and go back and review what you dreamed. Like I was reviewing some dreams today I had back in January, and the stuff's happening right now in my life. It's happening. And I forgot about the dream. I was rereading my journal. I'm going, that's what it meant. And it could be talking to you about something that's going to happen tomorrow or something that's going to happen 2 years from now.
Do you find that that your dreams are often prophetic? Is that a frequent theme?
Define prophetic. It's different for different people.
That's true. That you are seeing things in your dream that wind up coming true later on.
If you're thinking if I'm dreaming like Jacob dreamed in the Bible, no, probably not. But that would be prophetic to me. But I think there are definitely, so sometimes we have dreams that need no interpretation. The dream is the dream. As an example, my daughter passed away a little over a year ago, and I've dreamed of her a lot. She comes to me in my dreams, and when she comes to me in my dreams, I don't need to interpret it. It's just a flyby visit. Hey, I'm here. How you doing? It's good to see you. It's good to see you. I love you. I love you back. Miss you. I miss you too. But I'm really happy. Those kind of dreams. But and then there are those dreams when you say prophetic. Yes, I call those lucid dreams. Those are dreams that really stick with you, that are they're so real. Those are what I would call prophetic dreams.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they could be about anybody in your life, but typically I found in dream interpretation, most of the dreams are really about the person. The person that's there has energy in whatever action the dream is about. It's circulating around your energy. You're involved somehow, some way. Even if you're dreaming about somebody else, there's some involvement with you because your energy is attached to the dream. Does that make sense? Yeah. Yeah.
It definitely does.
Yeah.
I've heard before, I've just heard this on a podcast or something, like sometimes when you're having a dream, it relates to what's been going on those past like 2 to 3 days. I don't feel like that's always the case, but do you find that often, or do people often have that question? Can you even set
what? That's that. What you just brought up is the biggest reason some people don't believe in dreams, because they say, well, I just dreamed that because I saw that person yesterday, or I was looking through the yearbook and I saw their picture and I dreamed about them last week, right?
Uh-huh.
But here's the reality. Spirit speaks in metaphors.
Mm-hmm.
Spirit speaks in a way that they can communicate easiest with us. So they take our most recent memories that are most vivid for us, and they use those to communicate with us.
Mm-hmm.
They understand those, and that so yeah. If you dreamed about somebody who you read about or thought about, Spirit is using that energy that you've created to communicate back with you, and something that relates to you. So it's not just because you saw them.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I honestly, when you talk about dreams, I'm like, oh, I dream all day long. Like I have to pull myself down out of dream world and come back to reality sometimes. So, but it's been that way.
Yeah.
Well, we're all dreaming all the time. And like I mentioned earlier, consciously or unconsciously, the conscious dreaming is, let's say you've got an attitude about somebody, and that attitude could be either good or bad. But whatever that attitude is you're dreaming that, you're moving that energy into a reality in some form or fashion, like you're moving your website into a reality. In some form or fashion, you dream that up, and you're continuing to dream it. And you're dreaming your life up as you sit here tonight. You're dreaming your life up. I'm dreaming my life right now at this very moment. So we're always dreaming. But the ones that are most interesting are the ones who are unconscious, mm-hmm. because our brain is kind of turned off. And that's when Spirit really creeps in. Yeah. There's no confusion as to who's conducting the dreaming, right? You're dreaming and you're out there. So that's where it really gets interesting. But we're always dreaming all the time. And that's what shamanic practitioners do. We dream.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I have another question, Jess, unless you have.
Sure. Yeah, you go right ahead. I'll go next.
So one of the things that really, really calls to me, and I spend a lot of my time in, is doing shadow work. And I've come across some practitioners recently that have really developed a practice around shadow work paired with dream work and dream interpretation. And so that's something that I'm slowly in the process of learning more about. Like I said, I don't remember a whole lot about what I dream. So I feel like I'm starting at a disadvantage, but how can we work the shadow by working with our dreams?
Well, explain to me more about your process for shadow work.
For me, shadow work is really delving into those pieces of myself that I have kind of shoved into the other, into the background that I don't want to, you know, I try to disown or break free from, or don't want to acknowledge about myself, trying to explore those and integrate.
Well, just, you know, I said earlier on that dreams are facts.
Mm-hmm.
And dreams don't care what you think, what your work, they don't care what you're working on. They're not trying to hurt your feelings. They're not trying to make you feel good. Dream spirit's giving us information. And so if you look at that information as a fact, you can work with it in any manner you want. You can work with shadow work. You can work with the lighter part of yourself. You know, those dark recesses that we don't even want to acknowledge sometimes. Mm-hmm. Dreams can, but you have to interpret the dreams to see how it kind of fits in with what you're trying to do.
Right.
Right. Does that hope that makes sense a little bit?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But just, you know, dreams are not, they're the most unbiased thing that we could possibly imagine. Mm-hmm. They don't care. They really don't care one way or the other. It makes no difference. There's no emotional attachment. It's just a deliverance of facts. And when you think about that, you're like, great, you're sending me a Webster's dictionary every night. And for younger viewers here, they might not even know what that is, but you know, you're sending me Google every night, you know.
There you
go. Yeah.
So I want to ask you about lucid dreaming, because that's one of the things that I hear a lot of people asking about, even like people in my friend group, like, how do we lucid dream, right? And then you started talking about lucid dreaming just a little while ago, and you explained it in a way that I was like, oh, I've been lucid dreaming.
Yeah.
Can you touch on that a little bit, please?
Okay. Lucid dreaming is nothing more than a dream that just, when you awake out of it, you know you were there. It's as if I'm talking to you right now. Mm-hmm. It feels like that. That's how you can tell the difference between a lucid dream and an ordinary dream. And they typically have very strong meanings behind them, something very profound. I would just say, you know, in some of this work, there's just a sense of knowing. And you'll know when you have a lucid dream, right? And it's a dream that's just very real. I would say that may be the definition of it. But you'll know when you have it. And so how do you lucid dream? Not all of us do. Mm-hmm. But I would say this: the more aware you become of dreaming, the more focus you put on it, the more creation, the more you dream about your dreaming, the more lucid your dreams will get. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And
yeah.
I love to keep a journal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And keeping a journal, I think, is so important. It's so important. And you know, I will say this: I don't write in my journal every night. And I need to get in a better habit of that. But I write in it often enough, right, to make a difference. And my dreams in the years that I've been doing this, which is probably four or five, keeping a dream journal, my dreams have been more profound. I've been able to get more information out of them. I've let them guide me more. They become more lucid, you know. So I think if we pay attention to that we're actually creating our own dream world. It was interesting earlier in our talk, you said you connected with somebody in a dream. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I call that dream dating, right?
Oh.
You can. And you know, and you know, good exercise for people is to say, hey, let's meet here tonight, wherever here may be.
Yeah.
Let's and then you check in, see if it happens. And if not, try it again. You'll get there. You know, you can do things, you can have an intention for a dream. Write a name, write a location, put it under your pillow. That is your intention for your dream. Sleep with it. Okay? I would discourage like trolling old boyfriends in the dream state. Okay. it's not made for that intention. Okay. But if you have a loved one that you'd love to connect with and you get the permission, it's a beautiful way to do that.
Especially now with everybody in quarantine.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. This is what, a bottle of that and sell it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Might be more valuable than toilet paper one day. Who knows?
So you bring up an interesting, what you said at least brought an interesting thing to mind for me. And that's something, again, that we talk about fairly often is, the concept of astral projection. And so, when we are in this dream state, can you talk a little bit about where we might run into some astral projection and how that works?
Well, so we just talked a little bit about it, because that is astral projection.
Sure.
For those of us who've been able to experience that, it's possible to do that. This is possible to do that at will. I think all of dreaming is really astral projection if you break it down to maybe its purest form. I don't know what else to say about it except for that it occurs all the time in dreaming. And whether you can consciously do it, and I think what you're speaking of maybe is consciously doing it, and so setting that intention like I talked about earlier, and doing it. A really good use of astral projection is if you have nightmares. You can put yourself back in the nightmare. You can control your nightmares in dreaming. We have a power. You keep in mind that our spirit is still alive. Our soul is still alive in the dream state. If our soul is still alive, we don't have to be a victim. If our soul is still alive, we can control our environment as we choose to do so. So if you can face your nightmare, if you can tell it to go away, look, you're not allowed here anymore. Leave. I don't want you to come back. Go away. We can do that. We can astral project and we can face our fears in the dream state. So that's one way that you ask, how could you do that? That's one way I can think it'd be a very profound way if somebody's really bothered by bad dreams. And I know several people are, particularly the people that may be watching this, because if you happen to be watching this program, you probably have some interest in the spiritual realm, let's say. You probably have opened yourself up, or you're probably extremely open. Or you may have been all your life and you just found yourself here because, oh my gosh, these people are talking about something that I've been feeling or believing all my life, and I just thought I was like weird or crazy or whatever. And obviously you're not. You just connected. And so I forgot where I was going with that. I'm showing my age, aren't I? But but anyway, gosh, I just lost my train of thought. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. We were
That's all right.
talking about the interest that everybody has, like watching this program and the astral projection and the different ways to access that. And you talked about a few.
Right.
It's really interesting because a couple of my friends and I just a couple of weeks ago were like, okay, let's go to sleep and we'll meet you in Egypt. Let's go meet in Egypt. So it's interesting that as we've come up to this, I've been working on different things that you're talking about. And I'm sure that's how spirit works, right? They're like, here, try this because this is going to come up on the show, right? So now I want to ask about that in the sense of supplement, because like mugwort, like there's mugwort tea, you hear it's going to help with astral projection. Like for me, not necessarily, but maybe I just didn't remember that I went to Egypt, but I feel like I
Right.
remember.
Right. Well, I have no knowledge of supplements, unless it's sweetgrass, sage, Palo Santo,
Sure.
or certain forms of incense.
Mhm.
That's what I use in my practice.
Yeah.
I do have friends like, you, or, there's some people in Western Kentucky that I work with that are very familiar with supplements and how they may or may not work in the dream state, but I just don't know anything about that.
Yes, and for me, like the mugwort, I think the mugwort is like I have it in an essential oil, and it is also like in a tea. And it's not really like, for me, it's not when I'm doing any kind of journey work. It's more of like something gentle, like you'll get in like a health food store. So I
Hmm.
was just curious because, when you're researching these things, sometimes essential oils will come up or like different teas. So it's a real gentle, over the counter type supplement. But I did not find it work for me. But I love what you're saying, how you can guide it. And guiding
Yes.
it is amazing.
Well, in certain journey space, there's really a large debate about, whether you can navigate the space or not. And I find in dreams, in the dream state, you can navigate that space, that journey space, just like you can navigate, in shamanic practice. We work with, journeying. That's intentional journeying or intentional dreaming, where we go to the lower world, we'll journey in the middle world for like psychopomp work and other types of work, or journey to the upper world, to speak to helping spirits that will come down and deliver healings or information, divination, dream interpretation for clients here, so we can help clients here in this plane of existence. So um, I can navigate very easly in my journeys, and anybody that's watching this program can do the same. It's just a matter of practice. In shamanic cultures years ago, there was a theory that you had to be really born in to a shamanic culture. You had to be marked from birth, really, to be a shamanic practitioner. And Western culture has changed a lot of that because, obviously those cultures and tribes are dying out. They're sending emissaries out into the Western world to spread this knowledge. It's available to a lot of people. And it's not only just available to a lot of people, but it's available because the fifth world is coming. I'm a true believer in that. And part of this expansion and this belief system and understanding the spiritual world in a much deeper manner is part of the awakening of the fifth world. Mm-hmm. that I think we're currently moving into. That's my opinion. Some people may differ with that, but I truly believe that. And I'm a prime example of that. I spent so many years outside of this realm as a business executive, and to say, I talked to my deceased daughter often. I could see me coming into a boardroom and speaking of that and getting these stares. But, this change, the change of the world happens one person at a time, right? And, I had to see it to believe it. And once I saw it, I still didn't believe it. I had to see it many, many times before it dug in. And I'm like, you know what, this is not BS. This stuff's real. And, I want to get closer to God. I've always wanted to get closer to God. And darn it, this isn't the best way to do it, that I've found. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Molly, do you have any other questions that you would like to ask? And then I'm gonna, Jeff, I know we have a couple comments.
Okay.
Started early, so I'll mention those as well shortly.
Okay, sure.
I think we've talked about most of the things that that I had on my list as far as questions. I
Cool.
am curious though, with people that are delving into or coming to you with dream questions, what are the most frequent things that you get asked or encounter?
I'm sorry, you broke up a little bit. I didn't hear that question.
Oh, that's all right. So when people are coming to you as a shamanic practitioner regarding dreams, what are some of the most frequent things that you are encountering or that they're coming to you for related to dreams?
Well, it really just varies based on the client.
Mhm.
Yeah, no two people are alike. Everybody's got their own issues they're dealing with. Most of the time it's just a matter of confusion because they don't understand.
Right.
What it is. But in my shamanic practice, people usually come to me because they're in some form of distress of some kind, to the point where medical doctors are not helping. Their psychologist doesn't help. Maybe hasn't helped in the manner in which they thought it should, because I do believe in modern psychology. But so they really, I get most people out of desperation. They don't know where else to turn, and maybe spirit is pulled on them to say, hey, this is a spiritual issue.
Yeah.
This is a bad energy, a concentration of bad energy somewhere in your body or somewhere else, or with somebody else, whatever. And a lot of it, interestingly enough, is relationship issues,
Mm-hmm.
where people can't deal with life and they don't understand why. And a lot of it is how they've dreamed their life into being.
Yeah.
Now you have to keep in mind that you can dream a certain way. Let's just say, for instance, Jessica, you had somebody that you were very interested in, and you're dreaming into that person. Well, that person may be dreaming another dream, right? That counteracts your dream. So can we always dream? No, but can we always dream something into being? No, but we can always dream to a better direction of our true self and what's going to fulfill us. And some people get confused with, well, I've been dreaming this and I've been thinking this and I've been doing what you're saying, but they neglect the fact that other people are dreaming too. And you might not be part of somebody else's dream, and whatever the relationship is, whether it's with your mom or your dad or your brother or your significant other, it doesn't matter. So those people that come to me, it's mainly about that. Some people come with physical ailments, recurring, they just cannot get rid of. Typically, I find that those are emotional sticking points. Something stuck somewhere in the body, and it's like it's dammed up. More like you would use with Reiki, or you would use acupuncture. That clears the channels, the energy flow channels. Shamanism is much different than that, and it works with a different modality, but in principle, everything is energy, and everything moves constantly as supposed to. But if it doesn't, that's where this dis-ease develops. And so we work in the dream state to clear that. And so when somebody comes, maybe their leg may be hurting, and it could be coming from their heart. You just never know until you get into the dream state. Spirit shows you where the energy needs to be moved from and what needs to be moved in. I had a client, I guess maybe a couple of years ago. I saw this gentleman at a ceremony I was at. I met him one time, and he looked almost dead. He was gaunt. And I talked to him for a while. And, of course, you don't want to push yourself on anybody, but Spirit was saying, hey, you can really help this person. And so I talked to a friend of his, and I said, I said, I think I may be able to help him a little bit. I'm not for sure, you know, and I just mentioned it in passing. So about 6 months later, he calls me on the phone. I don't know how he got my phone number. And he says, you know, and he said, well, what do I need to do? And I said, just come down, you know, come down and we'll do a healing ceremony on you. And well, what are we going to do? And I said, I have no idea what we're going to do. We'll know when you get here. And that's usually how I work, you know, somebody comes in and says, well, I want a soul retrieval. And, you know, you get into the work and spirit goes, no, they're not ready for that yet. They're not ready to take the soul back yet. Soul's going to leave again. Or no, that's not what they need right now. And, you know, so you're following the direction of spirit. You're not calling the shots, so to speak. You can try, but it's not going to work. So anyway, he came down. We worked together for a couple of hours, but I can remember he had so much darkness inside of him, so much darkness. And I really thought when he came down that probably I was going to do a soul retrieval on him because his appearance and the way he carried himself, he just appeared to have a lot of soul loss, and it probably did, but his vessel couldn't contain it. It couldn't contain it. It couldn't hold it. He had too much darkness in him, and this accumulation of stuff he never let go of. And so when I say we, I'm talking about spirit, and, you know, through me, or me through spirit, you know, we remove that and we put light into this guy. And after we did that, and I set him up and I said, the work is done. And he just started shaking, convulsing, like just shaking like this all over his body. And he was like, what is wrong with me? And I'm smiling at him and I said, brother, you're not used to the light. Your body's not used to the light.
Wow.
And so I see him today, and he's gained weight. He's not, you know, we're all never perfect, but he has improved so much, you know, and he had no idea what was wrong with him. And, you know, what I saw, and what spirit showed me was that he had just this black gunk all in his body, really permeating his entire cavity that needed to be removed and pulled out so light could get in and so he could have a chance at living. He was actually dying. This man was dying. You know, I don't think he knew how close he was to actually expiring from this life. But so those are the kinds of things, you know, when people come, you just never know. And you don't know why they come. They just reach out to you because something's pulled on them to say, hey, you know, maybe this person can help. And it's really more of a desperation. So, you know, in this business, as you guys know, we get the hard cases. You know,
Yeah.
it's not a Band-Aid. You know, we're pulling out the heavy equipment, you know, to help people. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And does it work for everybody? Not, I can say this, it works for everybody. You might not notice it. It might not be as dramatic as him, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's working. If you're truly working with spirit and you're doing what spirit tells you to do and you're doing it with intention, and you know the work is done, and you can look at that client and say the work is done, then it's been done. Whether they feel it coming out of there, they may come out and I don't feel any different. But you know, you're dealing with the unseen. If you go to a medical doctor and you've cut your arm and they sew it up, they can see it's been sewed up.
Right.
But not in this work. That's not the nature of what we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with that completely. And I can see too, like, I work in the dream state when I do even that. I mean, especially that healing work. So, you know, just the way it shows up. So absolutely. And I love that work. And thank you for sharing that story.
Yeah.
So I'm going to jump into a couple of the comments. Before you talked about spiders earlier, Debbie had actually commented, so I'm going to read her comment. So it's just
Okay.
interesting timing. She said, the grandmother spider keeps coming to me. I am a shaman practitioner, angel messenger. She talks with me and I feel she just wants to assist me with support, but I had to set boundaries of when she can come visit. And it was shortly after that that you started talking about how great spider is in dreams.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Deontay says, I'm repeatedly dreaming about sitting in a car while it's pouring rain. Then the rain turns into different types of snakes that start coming in the vents. I get out running through them and wake up once I reach the door of a house.
Sounds horrifying.
Well, not necessarily.
Right.
In shamanic practice, snake is the healer.
Oh.
Yeah.
If you look at the sign for the medical, intertwined snakes,
Yeah.
it's the healer. The snake in Peru is very, very powerful healer, very powerful. In Native American cultures, the snake is the healer. You see a lot of Native American drums with snakes on them. Snakes are revered. So, now snakes in ordinary reality may creep people out, right? And some of it's probably some of our Christian dogma. The snake tempted Adam and Eve, or the serpent did, and and a lot of this society was raised in that culture. That's where my background is. But snakes, so it rains snakes and she runs. What would happen if she didn't run?
So maybe she could guide that?
What would happen if she did not run? What if spirit's trying to heal her? So if it were my dream, I would view those snakes as a massive healing. If it were my dream, there's a healing that has to occur, should occur. There's a reason the car is there, and the car may represent a shield of protection where she's actually pushing this healing away from herself, trying to block herself out of it, shutting the doors. It's just trying to get in through the vents. The healing's trying to get to her, but she's going, no. I'm in the car. I'm putting the shield around me. I'm protecting myself from the healing. Now you're getting in. I'm going to run away. You're not going to get to me. So if it were my dream, I would be thinking about why I'm running away from healing, and not necessarily the sphere. And what is it that is trying to be healed in my own life? I would sit with that if it were my dream, and I would think about that. If it were my dream.
Beautiful interpretation of that. Thank you.
Okay.
I like this next one. I haven't read all of it, but I wanted to touch base on how spirit shows up in our dreams. So Savannah says, my mom recently passed away. I've dreamt about her once when I actually got to talk to her. I wonder if it's because anytime I'm sitting still in my mind instantly replays the day she passed, no matter how much I don't want it to. If that's a way of her communicating to me, since we are always dreaming. She said, this has me thinking so much and I love it.
Okay. So just so I understand the comment, because I can't read it. She's saying that her mom has passed and she saw her mom only one time.
Her mom has passed very recently and she's seen her one time and she got to talk to her. And she just was wondering, like, if I'm always dreaming and I'm replaying this in my mind, one is there's that difference between what is she replaying in dream world if she's always dreaming, and also communicating with her mother in dream world.
Okay. Well, I would have to ask her some more information, but based on the information that I have, that we know here, because there are a few questions I would like to ask. But so whenever a deceased person does appear to you in their dream, most of the time they're coming to say, hey, I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm here and I'm still here. I'm still around. You know, I was, that's what my daughter does. She comes to me now. I will also say this, there's probably people out there that have had deceased people past that they've never seen them. Like I've never seen my father come to me in my dream. I've only seen, he died 30 years ago. I've seen my mom one time, actually twice. Once she was with my daughter. And another time she came to warn me about something in a very metaphoric way, but she was right on it. I mean, right on it, you know, and it was something very tragic in my life. And she came just to protect me. But they come to us sometimes when we need to know and when we're able to absorb their energy again. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And we, like, my wife hasn't seen my daughter in her dreams. She never has. It's been over a year, and she's not ready. You know, I keep a picture of my daughter. There she is. It's my screen. My wife asked me, how can you do that to yourself every day? See, she's not ready.
Yeah.
She's not ready. And then when she is, that it will probably happen. But, you know, I'm ready. I'm comfortable with this. So, you know, and so if somebody's out there and they haven't seen a loved one that maybe passed, that could be they're just not ready yet. And they may never be ready in this lifetime. They may see them on the other side when they get there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then all of our bullshit's gone. You know, by the time we're crossing over, so it really doesn't matter. We're not carrying the baggage with us. You know, that's a lot of stuff to carry to the other side. If we had to carry all of our past with us to the other side, we'd never get there. It's too heavy, you know? So that's why God has given us the ability to leave it here, you know, and just go, you know. And I always said that's why, you know, Bill Gates and I both pass away. We're gonna go to pretty much the same place, just with the same load, right? Same amount of money, the same net worth, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's true.
God lets us leave it all behind, right?
And, you know, when you talk about, you know, connecting with spirit that way, you know, I always tell people too, that it's a very real connection. And would you put that into the category of, I mean, if we're putting things in categories, but like lucid dreaming, when you have that very real, feels like you're talking to them connection?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Also, just want to note, as far as like herbs that can help with dreaming, I have an herbalist who's put some comments in
Awesome.
the feed, so you all can take a look at that. Thank you, Mindy. She's got some great herbal supplements that she uses for hair and body too.
And actually, if she wouldn't mind dropping in the comments, I noticed that she mentioned mugwort again. I wonder, because I know you can burn mugwort just like you can burn sage and sweetgrass. So I wonder if doing that in the environment would also aid dream, you know, lucid dreaming, etc.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's a great idea. Thanks for asking that, Molly. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Okay, there was a question about the grandmother spider. If you had any advice on that, where grandmother spider is visiting and helping the shamanic practitioner, and she had to set boundaries. If you had any advice on why grandmother spider might visit.
Well, you know, I don't know if this is, you know, coming in dreams in like the unconscious dream state, conscious dream state.
Unconscious, I believe.
Unconscious dream state.
Yes.
If it were my dream, and if it's grandmother spider, that's a big dream. That is a very big dream. That is something new and profound is shifting in your life right now.
Mm-hmm.
If it's grandmother spider, and it probably keeps coming back because I don't forget the name of whoever that was, but you haven't taken notice yet. And so they're coming back to go, hey, guess what? You're not listening, and I'm trying to talk to you. And so if it were my dream and I kept getting visit from grandmother spider, like even when I didn't want them, they're intruding because there's something very important that you need to be made aware of on some type of change or manifestation because of what spider represents, right? And so, and guess what? They will keep coming to you for this opportunity for a while. And then spirit goes, I'm going to let them learn the hard way.
All right.
You know? All right.
And hopefully a quick question, quick answer. We talked about snakes and we've talked about spiders. Are there any other animals that people tend to, have an aversion to that might offer big meaning in a dream, like spiders and snakes?
Gosh, all kinds of different animals, become present, like, bear protection, right? Yeah. So, and also bear can also represent a time to reflect, because the medicine of the bear in the West, this is a Hopi Indian teaching. The bear asks 3 questions. Who am I? Why am I here? And what am I going to leave the children? And the children doesn't necessarily mean, it's the children of the world. Mm-hmm. And the children could be the planet, it could be the humans, it could be the creepy crawlers, it could be the winged ones, any 4-legged ones. But what am I going to leave? And so who am I? So the bear may be coming to you like more in a Hopi tradition, asking you to do a lot of self-reflection about who you are, what your purpose is, who am I and why am I here? And what am I going to leave the children? Okay, this is why I'm here. Now what am I going to do with it? Mm-hmm. What is my grander purpose? To be of service to other people in this planet or this universe in general. Okay, so that, the bear is one I can think of, but there's different meanings for any different animal that may show up. Sure. I had a 3-legged dog that died several years ago. And, this is just, you were talking about animals that come to you in dreams. And so he got cancer. Well, he was a 4-legged dog and he got cancer and he became a 3-legged dog in order to live. Mm-hmm. And, I had several people saying, why don't you just do him a favor? And, and he hobbled around and I had a little strap and I'd carry him around, but he was happy. His tail would wag, he was smiling, I pet him. And so I took really good care of him he lived 3 more years and he had like really severe cancer. And then he eventually died of cancer. But he came to me in a dream. And in the dream, he was pushing me in a wheelchair. And he passed all his friends. I remember he was helping me up and down steps. I used to help him up and down steps. He was helping me up and down steps. And he passed a bunch of his pals. And I said, hey, and his name was King. He said, hey, King. And he was like, no, I can't come with you. I'm going with him. And he's pushing me in this wheelchair and he gave up his friends and then the dream ended. He came back to thank me. He came back to thank me and say, hey, look, I'm cool. I got my friends over here. And you know what? If you needed help, I would help you too. And so, sometimes they just come by to say thanks. And sometimes it's not this big, profound meaning. Like I said earlier in the conversation, sometimes the dream is the dream. And there's not a lot of interpretation, but the wheelchair was the interpretation that I was now maimed. Mm-hmm. And he was respecting me for taking care of him when he was maimed. Mm-hmm. So I know.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, I know that we are up on time, so I wanna just, if we could, and you may look through the comments because there are a couple more comments that you might like. We've had someone ask about resources in the comments and also where they can find you for a session.
Well, so So you can find me on Facebook. It's just Jeff Carter. If you just message me, I will get right back with you. And I'm in Lexington, Kentucky, but I can do Zoom, or I can travel, or you can travel, or whatever. And, resources, I tell you what, if you're interested in dreaming, I put a few books outside here. There's a gentleman named Robert Moss. He is probably the most knowledgeable shaman dreamer that I know of, Robert Moss. So any book by Robert Moss. So I've got a bunch of his books. I've read a bunch of his books. I've taken training from him, totaling about a year, directly from Robert Moss. But this is Dreaming, calling the soul back home. There's another one here called Conscious Dreaming. I'm reading this for the second time around now. See, it's kind of worn here a little bit. There's another fellow. He's not necessarily talking about dreaming in the dream state, in the unconscious dream state. He's more about dreaming in the conscious dream state, in the shamanic dream state. And his name is Roberto Vialdo. And he has a doctorate. He's a fellow that went to Peru to study Peruvian culture, and was so impressed with what he saw in the shamanic traditions and how they were healing people, and that he quit being a PhD at a college or at a university in California and lived with Avaro shamans and became a shaman. This is how dreaming your life into being happens. Is kind of when I think about him and kind of what happened to me, it's about the same thing. We're going down one path, and then all of a sudden, bam, something happens differently. So
I love that. And I loved the connection between dreaming and shamanism.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I really needed to learn that today. So thank you for that.
You're quite welcome.
Molly and I are going to do an exciting announcement in a second, but I wanted to check in. Is there anything else that you wanted to share about dreaming?
No, I think we've said enough for today, but I just want to thank everybody for sticking around and listening, and hopefully you got a little bit out of this. So thank you, and thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. This has been wonderful.
Yeah. Okay, guys.
Right.
We'll see y'all.
Okay. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Well, Molly, are you excited to share our new event coming up? And Jeff, you can feel free to stay for the announcement too.
Okay, well, maybe I'll just stick around. Okay.
I'm very, very excited. Do you want to tell them?
Oh, I would love to. Do we have a date? Because I might need that. You guys.
We do have a date.
Okay, cool. So Molly and I are putting together a weekend summit called Ignite by Soulfire. And Molly, what are the dates?
It is October 23rd through the 25th.
That's amazing. So that weekend, we are going to have a mediumship event on Saturday night. I'm kind of starting with Saturday night because, that's how I roll. I like things all out of order, really weird. But we're going to have Friday night. We're hoping to have maybe even some ghost stories. And then we'll have practitioners Saturday teaching different classes and workshops, a mediumship event at night, and Sunday, more events, workshops. So right now we are looking for those of you who are maybe contributors and want to be a part of that and teach. We're going to be sending out that application soon. And Molly, what did I miss? I'm sure there's more to share.
No, I think that's pretty much the high points. We're going to have 2.5 days of really fun learning, heart and mind expanding events, topped off with, of course, it is the weekend before Halloween. So we are going to be doing that mediumship event on Saturday night, and hopefully something fun and Halloweeny on Friday night as well. So lots of fun. This is a ticketed event, so we will be posting more information as soon as that becomes available. I think we are kind of shooting for September 1st for tickets to go on sale, but of course you'll be hearing from us. So we'll make sure you have all that information, but we're very, very excited.
Cool. Thank you so much, you guys, for being here, and stay tuned for more of that. And then this week, Thursday, Christopher tomorrow night has Astrolab. I'm loving his weekly astrology update. Saturday night, Kat will be here this Saturday night. And we will be back next Wednesday with a topic that might be just a surprise. I think we're back with one of the Claires.
I think we are too. We're still in our Claire series, I think. So yeah.
And we've got more coming. I'll be back with live readings too. So I know that you all are looking forward to that, and so am I. So keep an eye out for that. And
Yay.
I think we covered it. And Jeff, thanks for hanging in with us while we.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you look
Thank
real
you all.
good.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
See
you,
you.
Bye,
guys.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.